When we left for the trip, Reina brought along a father and son. With 3 cars, we were suddenly 1 seat short. Reina pulled me out of the passenger seat and let the father and son have it. It was a 5-hour drive to the coast from there, and I suddenly felt tired of it all. I calmly got out of the car and watched them drive off in a grand procession. And later, I saw that after they arrived, Reina was having a great time playing with the father and son by the sea. In one of the videos she posted, someone asked why she hadn't come to find me yet. Reina was patiently teaching the man how to swim and said dismissively, "Leo is easy to handle. He won't get mad." But she didn't know that I would never be angry with her again. The moment Reina brought the father and son, I'd already had second thoughts about going. The handsome man, dressed in a well-tailored suit, was holding a little boy's hand as he walked toward us, smiling. "Leo, Reina said you invited us to come along. Thanks so much." The man's smile was gentle, but it held a faint hint of provocation. He knew perfectly well that I would never have invited him. Reina put the man's luggage in the trunk, opened the back door, and then froze. There were 2 more girls in the back, her friend's younger sisters, who had joined at the last minute. Seeing this, her friend rubbed her nose, embarrassed. "Reina, I didn't know you were bringing people." When Reina didn't say anything, she moved to kick the 2 girls out of the back seat. But before Reina could speak, Ethan spoke up. "They're at the perfect age for fun. Don't make them leave." Ethan lowered his head, and anyone could hear the regret in his voice. "Zach and I won't go, then. You all have a great time." After taking a few steps, he turned back. "Reina, Zach was talking all night yesterday about wanting to go on a trip. Send him a few pictures while you're there. Okay?" A flicker of emotion crossed Reina's eyes. She opened the passenger side door and reached out to pull me from the car. "Leo, you get out for now. I'll come back and get you." In that moment, I don't know what expression was on my face, but it was enough to make the 2 girls in the back get out of the car with me. "You can have our seats, sir. We won't go." A veiled sympathy flashed across their faces, mixed with a hint of guilt. I stared into Reina's unervingly calm eyes and laughed at myself. It looked like I wasn't going on this trip after all. I calmly took my luggage out and pushed the 2 girls back into the car. Before the car drove away, Ethan, sitting in the passenger seat holding his son, gave me a triumphant wave goodbye. Through the car window, I saw Reina's beautiful profile, and suddenly, I felt so tired of it all. My gaze fell on the ring on Reina's finger, the one I had put there when we got engaged. Now it was just an eyesore. During the 5-hour drive, Ethan posted nearly 10 times on his social media feed. At first, it was just scenery from the road, but most of them were shots of Reina looking captivating as she drove with one hand. Someone commented on a video, asking him, "Ethan, is that your girlfriend? She's gorgeous." Ethan replied with a shy emoji, then continued posting updates of Reina throughout the trip. "Takes 5 hours to get to the coast from here." When Reina stopped at a rest stop, she gave me a call. She told me to stay put and wait for her to come pick me up. Waiting for her that long under the scorching sun was something I couldn't do anymore. But I didn't say anything. I even agreed, because I wanted to see if Reina would really do what she said she would. Come back for me. I sat on the sofa, watching the pendulum swing, second by second. 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, until Ethan updated his feed again. In the video, he was wearing swim trunks, lounging on a floatie while the tall woman stayed by his side. Joyful laughter and a loud shout came from the video. "Reina, aren't you going to get Leo?" The woman's hand paused for a moment, causing the man's body to tilt and swallow a mouthful of seawater. After a moment of silence, Reina's expression returned to normal. "It's fine if we're a little late. Leo's a good sport. He won't get mad." I closed the video before it finished. I was certain she wasn't coming back for me. Then, I slowly got up from the sofa and, piece by piece, took off my engagement ring. So, it wasn't my imagination after all this time. Reina really had changed. I could no longer deceive myself, telling myself to look forward to our wedding day. I was the one who organized this trip. I booked the hotel, I planned the itinerary, but I was the only one who didn't go. I felt a surge of resentment, unwilling to let that man, Ethan, enjoy everything I had prepared. I made a call to the hotel manager. Once that was done, I threw the ring down the drain. I let the water wash away our past, just like Raina did. I suppressed the dull ache and reluctance in my heart. I told myself over and over that these feelings would eventually pass. After a long while, my heart finally settled into a state of calm. Raina and her group spent the whole afternoon at the beach before heading back to the hotel. But the front desk informed them that the presidential suite Ethan was staying in had been canceled. He was in my room. Since I didn't go, canceling it was only natural. Raina tried to book another room for Ethan, but she was told the hotel was full. They all knew this hotel was part of my family's business. They understood it was my doing. Ethan's eyes grew red, his voice choked with emotion, looking helpless and wronged. Is Leo angry? It's all my fault. If I hadn't been such a slow learner, you wouldn't have had to spend so much time teaching me. Raina, maybe Zach and I should just leave. Raina's breathing became a little ragged, but not because the man in front of her was threatening to leave. She had suddenly remembered that she forgot to go back and pick me up. Raina's heart softened, and she refused to let them go. She grabbed the man's wrist, her tone firm. Don't be ridiculous. This has nothing to do with you. If Leo is angry, he's angry at me. You can stay in my room. I'll go back tonight. Raina told her friends to take care of Ethan and his son and started to leave without even grabbing her luggage. Her steps were more rushed than usual, but Ethan called out to her. Let me go back with you. If Leo's mad, I can help you explain. Raina thought for a moment and finally agreed. Knowing Leo's personality, he probably wouldn't leave until she came back. And if he got really angry, it would likely take a long time to calm him down. It might be easier for two men to talk it out. So, she brought Ethan along. But his son was too young to handle a 5-hour drive, and they couldn't just leave their things behind. Another hour passed as they went back to pack up. Raina, in truth, wasn't a very patient person. The fact that she was willing to sit in the car and wait an hour for Ethan was telling enough. Sitting in the car, the man worried that the woman hadn't eaten all day and would get hungry. He would occasionally place a cookie in her mouth, letting her snack while she drove. I saw all of this in the 15th post Ethan had just put on his feed. I forwarded the video to Raina and broke up with her. Don't bother coming back. We're over. Raina dropped Ethan and his son off safely at their home before finally arriving at our designated meeting spot. But I was nowhere to be seen. Under the dim streetlights, only a few scattered cars were parked in the dead silence. In that instant, a sudden panic gripped her heart. She couldn't quite explain the feeling, but it was as if something important was about to be lost forever. That feeling peaked when she saw the text message I had sent. Breaking up with Raina didn't bring me the relief or joy I had imagined. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I had already decided to let this relationship go, so why did I feel like crying right now? The fact that it ended because of Ethan's arrival made me want to cry even more. My phone rang. It was Raina. I stared blankly at the screen as it went dark and lit up again. When did it start? When did the Raina who promised to protect me for a lifetime choose to stand on Ethan's side? I was 10 when the Kane family found me and brought me back. But when I returned, there was already another boy my age in the house. That day, I was wearing a faded shirt and shoes that were falling apart. I locked eyes with the boy standing upstairs, dressed in designer children's clothes and holding a model airplane. We were worlds apart. I felt as small as dirt. I remember thinking back then that if I hadn't gotten lost, everything he had now should have been mine. Later, I learned that the boy I envied so much was just the son of our family's housekeeper. For a long time, my family excluded me. They couldn't stand the habits I'd picked up from the outside and were always comparing me to Ethan, whom they had raised. Only Raina, from the very beginning, she had stood firmly on my side. Now, the one person who chose me was also leaving. I don't know how much time passed, but the phone was still lit up. I hit the answer button. Her usually carefree voice now held a barely perceptible tremble. Leo, I'm downstairs. Can we talk? Raina was leaning against her car door, staring motionless at my window. I threw on a jacket and went downstairs to see her. There were so many things I wanted to ask her, but the moment I saw her, all the words drowned in my tear-filled eyes. Reina rushed to embrace me, promising again and again that it would never happen again. Pushed her away. I admit I lost control in that moment. Reina, don't you know I can't stand Ethan? He tries to take everything from me. Don't you know that? A flash of regret crossed Reina's eyes. I know. Today was my fault, Leo. I'm sorry. Ethan, I'll never see him again. My vision blurred. My eyes were red, and my voice was choked with sobs I couldn't hold back. I didn't want her promises, not after all this fighting and drama. Just go. I'll talk to my parents about calling off the engagement tomorrow. Or if you want someone else, you can tell them yourself. I didn't see Reina's reaction, and I didn't know why I had even run down to see her. The moment I came down, I just wanted to ask one thing. Why had she suddenly given up on me? But I never got an answer to that question, only an apology. In that instant, I understood. Love was so incredibly fragile. The next morning, Ethan brought his son over to apologize to me. Ever since his divorce, he had been coming to my house more and more often. Whether he was living in the house or not, there was always a room kept for him. It was the one with the best sunlight in the entire villa. In all the years he was gone, it was still cleaned spotlessly every day, and no one was ever allowed to set foot inside. Seeing me come downstairs, Ethan immediately stood up from the sofa. He even knocked the pudding his son was eating out of his hand. In front of my mother, his voice was soft and heart-wrenching. Leo, Reina asked me to apologize to you. I honestly thought you had invited me, which is why I brought Zach along. It's all my fault. Can you please stop being angry with Reina? She was exhausted yesterday, and she had to drive all the way back at night. It's easy to get into an accident like that. I watched Ethan's pathetic performance and retorted. You thought I invited you? Then why was I, the one who supposedly invited you, the only one left behind? A very strange smile appeared on Ethan's handsome face. Then, right in front of me, he gave his son a hard pinch. The boy started crying, and my mother, not knowing what was going on, scooped him up with a pained expression. She started blaming me. Ethan has already moved out of the house. How long are you going to keep this up? Even if something was going on between Ethan and Reina, that just means you're not man enough to hold on to your woman. A bitter sting filled my nose. I mumbled, since none of you think this will work, let's just call off the engagement. Fine, call it off. Who do you think you're threatening? My sister, Cindy, who was in college, ran in from the doorway, with a silent Reina following behind her. She shoved me aside and stood protectively in front of Ethan. Leo, don't think you can do whatever you want just because Mom and Dad feel guilty about you. As far as I'm concerned, Ethan is my only brother. If you dare bully him again, don't blame me for what happens. No one in this family liked me. I had always known that. But this was the first time they had made their dislike so blatantly obvious. I stared at my sister for a long time. We actually look a lot alike. We should have been the closest of siblings, but now we were like enemies. I stopped talking and turned to leave. As I passed Reina, I stopped. My smile was bitter. Reina, are you satisfied with Ethan's apology to me? A sharp pain shot through Reina's heart. She couldn't say a word. A few days later, they called me back home after I'd run away to discuss calling off the engagement. Reina and her parents were there. I thought the engagement would be broken off quickly, but it wasn't as simple as I had imagined. No one agreed to end it, not even Cindy, who disliked me the most. When she saw me looking at her quizzically, she rolled her eyes impatiently and snorted. Don't think this is about you. If you call off the wedding, you'll embarrass our family. Reina's mother took my hand, her smile not reaching her eyes. This was Reina's fault. She saw a single father raising a child and got soft-hearted for a moment. She wasn't thinking clearly. It's not a big deal. There's no need to take it this far. My own mother was shooting me looks from the side, as if to say, that's enough. Any more of this and you won't be able to take it back. Everyone thought I was just competing with Ethan, trying to get Reina to comfort me. No one believed that I genuinely didn't want to be in this relationship anymore. After a moment of silence, I took a deep breath. That's enough. Can't you all see Leo is at his breaking point? Reina strode over to me, took my hand, and led me out of the room. For a second, it gave me the illusion that she was still the only one on my side. I clutched my chest, which was aching slightly, and quelled the momentary flutter. Reina hugged me again, but her embrace had lost its familiar warmth. Leo, give me one more chance. I can't live without you. She said it with such sincerity, but my heart was as calm as still water. The wedding went on as planned, scheduled for the end of the year. They all thought that after so many years together, I would never let Reina go so easily. My current indifference toward her, they assumed, was just lingering anger. But no one knew that I was secretly preparing to leave for a volunteer teaching program in the mountains. I was leaving this place all by myself. Maybe Reina still loved me now, and leaving me behind that day was just a moment of confusion. But I wasn't willing to bet my marriage on the uncertainty that she would love me forever. Before I left, I celebrated one last birthday with the family. This time, my mother cooked herself, spending the entire day in the kitchen. My father came home early from the office. Cindy even took the day off from college and came back early, holding a birthday gift box the whole time. This birthday was the grandest celebration I'd had since returning to the family. Reina came in with a 3-tiered birthday cake and then presented me with a watch. It was a classic design. I never knew Reina had such good taste. I looked at the feast spread across the table and felt a faint sense of reluctance. It was nice to have one last family meal before I left. Suddenly, I noticed 2 extra sets of plates and silverware on the table. My heart sank, and a wave of sadness washed over me. My eyes instinctively turned to the closed front door, just as the doorbell rang. As expected, Ethan and his son walked in. I suddenly burst out laughing at myself for being so foolish, for still holding out hope for this family. My father came downstairs, opened his arms, and lifted Ethan's son into the air, doting on him. Cindy jumped up from the sofa and handed the gift box to the little boy. "Happy birthday, Zach. From your auntie." The room was filled with laughter and cheerful chatter. My mother called everyone to the table for dinner. It seemed they had forgotten it was someone else's birthday too. I stood to the side, my eyes starting to burn. Reina appeared by my side at some point. She gently pried open my clenched fists. Her eyes held a new tenderness for me. She led me to a seat and filled my plate with food. Then, raising her voice slightly, she wished me well. "Leo, happy birthday." The room instantly fell silent, followed by the sound of chopsticks dropping to the floor. "Leo, happy birthday. I can't believe you and Zach have the same birthday. I ran into Reina at the mall yesterday, and I was the one who helped her pick out the watch she bought for you." Ethan flashed a smile, then showed off the identical watch on his own wrist. He dangled it in front of my eyes as if to show it off. "What do you think? Looks great, right?" In that moment, I could feel the woman beside me tense up. She leaned in and whispered an explanation. I didn't expect to run into him. I silently took the watch off my wrist and clenched it in my fist.
I'm hungry.
"Let's eat." At that meal, everyone struggled to swallow their food. Everyone except for Ethan and his son, who ate happily. A large sum of money appeared in my bank account afterward. It was from my father, who had gone to his study to work after dinner. My mother went upstairs too and came back down with an expensive briefcase from her favorite brand. My sister, who had said she needed to get back to school but was still lingering, shuffled over to me, her attitude softer for the first time. "What do you want? Tell me quickly. I have to get back to campus." "You don't have to. There's nothing I want." "Humph. Fine. Good. Saves me money." With a cold face, she stormed out. Reina, who had retrieved the watch from the trash, apologized to me again. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you'd mind. I'll buy you a new gift." A moment later, Reina's eyes lit up. "Leo, let's go on a trip. Didn't you want to see the ocean? This time, just the 2 of us. Okay?" My expression was flat. "Fine. You can plan it." After I sent Reina away, I was the only one left in the living room. I saw the housekeeper about to throw away the birthday cake, of which only a few bites had been eaten. I stopped her, cut a slice with a lot of frosting, and stuck a candle in it. I made a birthday wish. May Leo find peace, joy, and a good life ahead. At 2 in the morning, I was wheeling my suitcase downstairs when I ran into the housekeeper, who was in the kitchen for a glass of water. She looked at me in surprise. I just smiled at her. I'm going on a trip with Reina. Without another word, I left the house that had never once felt like a home. The place I chose for my volunteer teaching was the mountain village where I had lived for 10 years. In all the years since, my family had never asked me a single question about that decade of my life. They were ashamed of my sordid past and wanted nothing to do with it. Even Reina, whenever I tried to bring it up, would always change the subject. I knew she was ashamed of it too. Ashamed that I had lived for 10 years in a place that was practically another world from hers. The next morning at breakfast, my mother's face soured when she saw I hadn't come down. In the Kane household, everyone had to be at the table by 7 a.m. every morning. It was their tradition. After waiting a few minutes, my mother finally lost her patience and was about to send someone to wake me. The housekeeper heard her and came out of the kitchen, quickly explaining, "Ma'am, the young master left with Miss Reina last night. They took a flight to go traveling." My mother's expression didn't improve. Her eyes held a trace of disdain. I can't believe he was serious this time. Turns out he was just trying to spite Ethan again. I guess that's what happens when they're not raised by your side. All he knows are these cheap tricks. That's enough. Leo is our son, after all. You should be nicer to him. My father put down his newspaper and gave my mother a cold look. Reina had booked tickets for a trip abroad. Then she spent a day traveling to another city to buy me a pair of expensive diamond cufflinks at an auction. She wanted to surprise me. So, it was only when she tried to contact me that she discovered my phone had been turned off for a long time. She rushed over to my family's house to find me. But when she heard that I had supposedly left with her, Reina was terrified. She asked all my friends, but they all said they hadn't seen me in a long time. My parents finally realized that I might have actually disappeared. A month later, they still hadn't found me. With the wedding date approaching and the groom nowhere to be found, Reina's family wanted to call off the engagement. Reina stopped them. During that time, Reina had grown gaunt from searching for me. She stood in front of her parents, her eyes bloodshot. "I'm not calling it off. I know I can find him." My departure made my mother feel like she had lost face, and she fell ill from anger. To cheer her up, Ethan moved back into the house with his son. Under his careful watch, my mother's health improved quickly, but her resentment toward me deepened. From now on, I don't have a son, and he can forget about ever coming back to this family. He thinks he can throw a tantrum? Fine, then this wedding is off. I'm going to Reina's family tomorrow to cancel everything. Ethan patted my mother's back soothingly while pleading my case. "Don't be angry. I'm sure Leo will be back before the wedding. He was probably just a little jealous that we were celebrating Zach's birthday. It's all my fault. I never should have brought Zach over. Then Leo wouldn't have run away. Didn't we make it up to him? What more does he want?" My mother never had a kind word to say about me. The housekeeper, seeing the situation, quickly brought a glass of warm water to my mother. "Ma'am, you're still recovering. Please calm down. Mr. Ethan, maybe you could talk to her about something else. The madam is very upset right now. It's best not to bring up the young master." Ethan shot the housekeeper a glare behind my mother's back, but didn't mention my name again. 3 days before the wedding, there was still no sign of me. The two families met and decided to call the whole thing off. Reina, who was still out searching for me, had no idea. When she returned, she was the last to know. Reina's parents had never been happy with me as a son-in-law anyway. If it weren't for my family and the fact that Reina loved me, they never would have let her marry me. Now that I had pulled a stunt like this, it didn't matter whether it was real or not. They considered me thoughtless and unworthy of being their son-in-law. Reina couldn't persuade her parents, so she ran to my parents to beg them for help. It was Ethan who opened the door for her. As soon as his son, Zach, saw her, he reached out his arms to be held. But Reina wasn't in the mood. She patted the boy's head and gestured for him to go play by himself. The living room was a mess, filled with things to be thrown out. Amidst the clutter, Raina saw the curtains I had personally picked out, piled up with the trash. She looked closer and recognized them as the ones from my room. She yelled at the housekeeper, "Who told you to touch Leo's things?" Her shout made the little boy cry. Cindy, who had just gotten home, saw the scene. "Raina, what is wrong with you?" She protectively scooped up Ethan's son, wiped his tears, and patiently soothed him. The housekeeper was also aggrieved, a hint of complaint in her voice. "Mr. Ethan gave them to me and told me to throw them out. I would never have the nerve to throw them away on my own." Raina's gaze turned dark as she looked at Ethan, her eyes filled with rage. Ethan just smiled faintly, completely unafraid. Zach was playing and got them dirty with his drawings. "I was thinking of getting Leo a new set." Raina stared deeply at the man before her. She had seen Leo suffer at his hands too many times. Now that Leo was gone, he couldn't wait to move in. And now he was messing with Leo's things, claiming it was unintentional. She didn't believe it. Perhaps Raina stared a little too long, because Ethan's face slowly started to turn red. Cindy, seeing the two of them standing so close, felt a strange surge of anger. She let go of the little boy, stepped between them, and blocked Raina's view of Ethan. "What are you doing at my house? If you don't have a reason to be here, then leave. I'm the one who told Ethan to throw them out. They're just curtains. It's not like our family can't afford new ones." My mother heard the commotion and came downstairs, asking Raina what was going on. Raina made up an excuse, saying she needed to find something in Leo's room. When she pushed the door open, she couldn't believe her eyes. The room was empty. It had been turned into a children's playroom. Leo's bed, his clothes, every last trace of him was gone. It was only then that Raina finally understood. The day she had left Leo behind and driven off with Ethan and his son, how heartbroken he must have been. At that moment, Raina felt sorry for Leo, felt his pain. She hurt for him. As she left my family's home, the woman who was always so composed made a scene for the first time, disrespecting her elders. "Mrs. Kane, if you disliked Leo so much, why did you even have him in the first place?" My mother's face turned livid with rage at Raina's outburst. Cindy was angry too, but she knew Raina. Even when upset, she would never show it like she did today. It wasn't in her nature. So, she followed Raina's path and went upstairs. She had almost never set foot in Leo's room, usually just calling for him from the doorway. When she realized why Raina was so furious, she found herself feeling the same way, feeling sorry for Leo. Cindy may not have acknowledged him as her brother, but Leo was a Kane. They shared a bond of blood that couldn't be severed. She wouldn't allow an outsider to bully him. My mother, leaning on Ethan for support, also came to Leo's room. Her heart skipped a beat. The moment Ethan's son entered the room, he started playing boisterously. It was clear he was used to it and was having a great time. The little boy ran up to my mother and Cindy, as if seeking praise. "Grandma, Auntie, isn't Zach a good boy?" My mother didn't answer. She looked at Ethan beside her, her voice betraying no emotion. "Where are the things from this room?" Seeing that my mother wasn't blaming him, Ethan's smile widened. "I had them move everything to the basement. Zach wanted to play, and the bed and cabinets were in the way. I was afraid he'd fall. I said you could play in Leo's room. I never said you could move his things." Despite my mother's sudden turn, Ethan still didn't seem to think it was a big deal. But it's such a small space. How could he play without moving things out of the way? "Cindy, don't you agree?" For once, Cindy didn't side with her dear brother. Her silence made Ethan's eyes instantly turn red. He took his son's hand, and tears started to fall. "I'm sorry. I caused you all trouble. I'll take Zach and leave right now." "Fine. It's probably for the best if you go back." Before my mother could speak, Cindy suddenly said this. She turned and called for the housekeeper to restore Leo's room to how it was. "From now on, no one is allowed in this room." From a corner where no one could see, Ethan stared at the back of his supposed sister. His eyes were filled with venom. This exchange was witnessed by my mother, who stood beside him. I arrived in the place of my memories and saw many familiar faces. I didn't tell them who I was, but I quickly blended in with the villagers. They were very kind to me, and even more pleased when they heard I was from a big city. When I got there, a few other volunteer teachers were already there. I donated the money my father had transferred to me to renovate the school and add a few classrooms. I also had a basketball court built for the kids. Life here calmed my soul. A week after I left, I sent a text to Raina breaking up with her. After that, I stopped looking at messages from anyone. Here, the smiling faces of the children and the simple warmth of the villagers were constantly affecting me. It gave me an urge to put down roots here. 3 years flew by in a flash, but I had to leave. Leave with someone else. Yes, here, I found the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, Lily. She had arrived 2 years before me. She could have left when I got here, but she stayed for another 3 years. She ignored her parents' repeated pleas for her to come home. Finally, her parents came looking for her, wanting to see what was keeping their daughter from returning. After seeing me, the old couple gave their instructions and went back home, smiling happily. Our colleagues teased us about it, making both of us blush. We were going back this time to get married. I originally had no intention of returning to my family or ever seeing her again. But when I turned on my phone, it was flooded with messages. The most recent one was from Raina's mother. She said Raina's health was very poor and begged me to see her one last time. I was stunned for a long time. I only snapped out of it when the woman beside me asked what was wrong. For the proud Mrs. Liu to lower herself like that, Raina must be seriously ill. I had to go back. After we landed, I contacted Raina's mother right away. She took me to the hospital to see Raina. After I left, she had never given up looking for me. The long-term exhaustion had taken a toll on her body. She developed insomnia and started taking medication. The dosage kept increasing until now it barely worked at all. When she saw me, a glimmer of hope sparked in Raina's cloudy eyes. Lying in the hospital bed, she shed tears of what may have been regret. She struggled to sit up, and the 4 in her arm instantly caused a large bulge. Raina's mother quickly called for a nurse to reinsert the needle. Raina just stared at me without blinking. I knew what she was asking. Was I going to leave again? Under her mother's pleading gaze, I shook my head. Whatever you want to say, wait until you're better. Raina nodded obediently, filled with joy. When I left the hospital, I saw Cindy. She should have graduated from college by now. In 3 years, Cindy had matured a lot. Seeing me, she no longer wore her emotions on her sleeve. She was becoming more and more like Raina in her ability to hide her feelings. You disappeared for 3 years without a word. You've got some nerve, Leo. After a pause, her tone softened slightly. Come home with me. Mom and Dad miss you a lot. I was planning to go home anyway, so I got in the car with her. In the car, Cindy tried to make small talk. But we were practically strangers. She didn't know me and I didn't know her. After a few minutes, we ran out of things to say. Luckily, the drive wasn't long, so the tense and awkward atmosphere didn't last. When we got out of the car, we happened to see Ethan and his son at the front door. For some reason, they hadn't gone inside. Seeing me get out of Cindy's car, Ethan didn't bother to hide the hatred in his eyes. Cindy completely ignored Ethan and his son, opened the door, and ushered me in first. She gave me a little nudge and explained, "He's not part of our family anymore." The door slammed shut, separating us from Ethan and his son. Perhaps distance does make the heart grow fonder. After I left, they had gradually seen Ethan's true colors. Without the bond of blood to sustain it, their relationship had soured into disgust. Now, to them, Ethan was less than a stranger. My parents were in the living room waiting for me. This time, they didn't say a single word of blame. Their eyes held a new concern for me, and they seemed to have things they wanted to say but held back. Dinner was already prepared and still warm. They must have known I was back the moment my plane landed. My mother served me food for the first time. When I looked up at her, she seemed a bit shy and unnatural. "I heard you went to see Raina. That poor girl has suffered a lot these past 3 years because of you." My father put down his chopsticks, thinking he was acting in my best interest. "Now that you're back, you two should hurry up and get married." "That won't be necessary. I'm in love with someone else. The entire family was stunned. They knew how deep my feelings for Raina were. They thought I could never let her go so easily. I came back this time to get married. Her family is up north, so I can't stay for long. Cindy had a strong reaction, yelling at me angrily. Do you have any idea how crazy Raina has gone looking for you these past few years? How could you leave her and find someone else? I didn't understand. Why couldn't I find someone else after breaking up with her? But I didn't want to argue. I got up and went upstairs. Raina recovered as quickly as she could and rushed to see me. But she heard that I was getting married. The smile froze on her lips, and a deep sadness enveloped her. She looked as if she might shatter at any moment. I told them again, I'm in love with someone else. I'm getting married. Raina staggered back a couple of steps, forcing herself to stay upright. She didn't come any closer. She quietly backed away, her frail silhouette disappearing into the desolate autumn. The falling leaves clung to her as she went. When Lily came to pick me up, she and Raina crossed paths. It was already getting cold up north. My fiancé brought me a thick scarf and gloves and had bought me a lot of new warm clothes. The wedding was next month, and I was going to spend some time there first. My whole family came to the airport to see me off. Raina came too. She didn't say a single word the entire time, just kept smiling. It wasn't a pretty smile. Before I left, I said one thing to her: goodbye. On my wedding day, Raina didn't come. I didn't ask why. My wife's parents are wonderful people. They treat me better than their own son. I now have people who love me and people I love. Over the years, my family and I have maintained a lukewarm relationship. Occasional check-ins, but no real closeness. After I got married, I never heard any news about Raina again. Not for the rest of my life.